Do you have that one friend group where every single hangout somehow ends up costing you 3,000 rupees, even though you swore to yourself beforehand that you'd just get coffee? Where everyone else in the group seems completely relaxed about dropping money like it's nothing, and you're the only one silently doing mental math in your head, smiling on the outside, quietly panicking on the inside? That's not just bad luck, and it's not just a coincidence that keeps happening to you. That's a pattern. It's called rich friend syndrome, and it might be quietly draining your bank account without you even fully realizing it's happening. A lot of people go through this for years without ever naming it. They just feel vaguely broke around certain people and assume it's their own fault. Today, we're going through the 5 signs that you might have it, why it happens, and more importantly, how to fix it before it costs you any more money than it already has. Sign 1. You say yes before you check your bank balance. The first sign is simple, and honestly, it's the one that starts the whole cycle. Someone in the group says, "Let's go here," or "Let's do this," and you say yes almost instantly. Not because you actually stopped to check whether you could afford it, but because saying no in that moment feels awkward. You don't want to be that friend. The one who always has an excuse, the one who slows the plan down, the one who makes things complicated. So you agree first and you do the actual math later, usually while lying in bed that night staring at your banking app, wondering where the month's budget just went. This is one of the most common financial traps inside friend groups because saying no in the moment feels like a social risk. It feels embarrassing. It feels like you're drawing attention to something you'd rather not talk about. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Saying yes when you genuinely can't afford it is a financial risk. And unlike that one awkward second of saying no, the financial risk doesn't disappear once the moment passes. It follows you home, it sits in your bank statement, and it shows up again next month in the form of less money and more stress. Sign 2, you order less but still pay the same. This next one is painfully specific, and if you've experienced it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You go out with the group and you make a conscious decision to be responsible. You order the cheaper dish, you skip the drinks. You tell yourself, okay, I'm being smart about this one. You feel a little proud of yourself actually for exercising some self-control. And then the bill arrives and someone says the 4 words that ruin your whole plan, "Let's just split it evenly." Suddenly, your careful, budget-conscious choice costs exactly the same as your friend's steak dinner and 3 cocktails. All that restraint completely wiped out in one sentence. If this happens to you regularly, you're not just occasionally overpaying. You're basically subsidizing everyone else's night out every time you go out. And the worst part is, it feels rude or overly dramatic to bring it up. So most people just stay quiet and quietly eat the cost every single time, telling themselves it's not a big deal. But add that up over a year, over multiple friend groups, over dozens of dinner, and it becomes a very real amount of money that just silently vanished because nobody wanted to have one slightly awkward conversation. Sign 3. Their normal has become your benchmark. The third sign is less about money directly and more about psychology. But honestly, it might be the most dangerous one on this list because it's invisible. Somewhere along the way, without anyone ever officially deciding it, what your friend group considers normal quietly became your personal benchmark too. The brunch spot they go to, the vacation destination they pick every year, the brand of clothes they wear without thinking twice. None of it was ever explicitly discussed. Nobody sat you down and said, "This is the standard now." It just became the unspoken baseline of the group and you absorbed it without noticing. Here's the problem with that. If your friends genuinely have more disposable income than you do, whether that's because of family financial support, a higher salary, fewer responsibilities, or just different financial priorities, then trying to match their version of normal isn't actually normal for your situation at all. You're measuring your financial life against a benchmark that was never built with your budget in mind, and every time you fall short of it, it feels like a personal failure, when really, it was just an unfair comparison from the very beginning. Sign 4. You've started using credit just to keep up. This is where rich friend syndrome stops being a mildly annoying inconvenience and starts becoming an actual serious financial problem. If you've noticed yourself reaching for a credit card or tapping "Buy now, pay later" on a checkout screen, specifically to keep pace with your friend group's lifestyle, not because you actually needed the thing, but because you didn't want to be the one left out of the plan, that is a very real warning sign, and it deserves your full attention. Debt that gets taken on to fund somebody else's lifestyle expectations is one of the fastest, quietest ways to end up in a financial hole that has absolutely nothing to do with your own goals, your own priorities, or your own life. You're essentially going into debt to perform a lifestyle that was never really yours to begin with, and that debt doesn't care whose expectations it was funding. It still has to be paid back, with interest, by you alone. Sign 5. You feel anxious instead of excited about plans. And the final sign is emotional rather than financial, but it's just as real. And honestly, it might be the clearest signal of all. When a group chat plan pops up on your phone, a dinner, a trip, a weekend hangout, your very first feeling isn't excitement. It's a quiet, low-grade anxiety about what this particular plan is going to cost you this time and whether you can actually afford to say yes. If spending time with people you supposedly enjoy being around has slowly turned into something that feels like a financial threat instead of something fun to look forward to, that is your gut telling you something that your bank account has probably already been trying to tell you for a while. Conclusion. So here's the thing you need to hear. None of this means your friends are bad people, and it doesn't mean you need to dramatically cut them off or disappear from the group. Most of the time, this happens because nobody in the group has ever said the quiet part out loud, that not everyone is working with the same budget, the same income, or the same financial situation. And honestly, the fix is a lot simpler than it feels in the moment. Suggest a cheaper alternative sometimes. You'll probably find you're not the only one who's relieved. Be the person who says, let's just split it based on what we actually ordered, instead of assuming an even split every time. And most importantly, get comfortable saying no without over-explaining yourself or feeling like you owe anyone a justification. A real, solid friendship can survive you saying, I can't do this one. It's usually only your bank account that doesn't survive you never saying it at all. If you recognized yourself in 2 or more of these signs, let me know in the comments which one hit the hardest for you. And if this video helped you look at your friend group a little differently, do hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.